is the morning of the World Quizzing Championships. I think this is my 18th attempt to become world champion, and inevitably it will be my 18th failure. But nonetheless, I am prepared. I have a bag of snacks. I have my McDonald's breakfast. What could possibly go wrong as I go into the toughest quiz of the year with such preparation behind me? Now, seriously, have done a little bit of work this year. Not a huge amount, but a little bit of work. But it is going to be so incredibly tough. So I'm going to take you through my day. I'll talk you through some of my greatest moments and some of my worst misses. We'll look at how I might have done better. And I'll do some analysis on the competition as well to see what sort of thing you might need to be looking at if you want to play for the first time next year.
Once more, I find myself in the mecca of quiz, that is Northampton.
How do you approach a quiz in which anything in the world can come up? It's so easy to go through the WQC paper and just get overwhelmed by the sheer number of questions you have no answer to. You have to trust to the plan, you have to trust to your technique and your strategy. My video on the 7 deadly sins of written quizzes really, that technique really does come to the fore here. You have to focus on what you can affect and just put to one side all the things that you have no idea on.
There's about 50 people here and 2,000 around the world. Let's get it on.
Oh, that was a predictably tough first half. I didn't make too many errors. A couple of dodgy ones I'll talk about later. Some good guesses, but that was meant to be my better half. I got 53 out of 80. I got 53 out of 120. So here is how the first half panned out. I did pretty well in culture and history. I was happy with those scores. Entertainment I was very happy with, but that should be my strongest genre anyway, and media is usually a strong genre for me, and I really struggled with it this time. I could have got some more points, up to 16 more points in that first half. Now, in entertainment, I should have got 2 more. I should have got Duke Ellington. I put it down and crossed it out and put Cab Calloway. I should have got La Gioconda, the Ponchielli opera, but I looked at it and thought, no, that is Mona Lisa. So crossed it out, made up an answer. Absolutely stupid of me. That cost me 2 points. The third one, realistically, I was never going to get. I'd heard of it, but I was never going to get it. So there should have been 2 more points there. There should have been probably a few more in history, but I was quite happy with 53. What made me even happier, but slightly frustrated, was when I saw the final scores and I saw that the top score in entertainment was 19. Remember, I got 17. I should have had 2 more. That would have put me in a tie for the lead. In reality, I ended up 8th in the world on entertainment, and I have to tell you, I am very happy with a top 10 finish out of 1,800 players. There were some nicely constructed questions in there, and thanks to the IQA who've given me permission to reproduce some of those in this video. Now, I like this one. Forget the first part of the question, that wasn't needed. The key bit here is beginning in the 1840s and lasting until things bottomed out in the 1870s. What name is given to this era in Peruvian history? Now, I'm not au fait with Peruvian history, but I had to look at that and think, why is bottomed out got inverted commas around it? There has to be significance to that. Bottomed out made me think of biological functions, and when I thought of biological functions, I remembered that there have been a number of countries in history who have been very rich off the back of guano. I put guano down, that was correct. So if you remember my 7 deadly sins of written quizzing, you have to look out for those clues in questions that can lead you to the right answer. There was another question which I didn't spot the clue. In fact, there were more than one, but there was one here that I didn't spot the clue, and this was one where it talked about Diaspora Giossi Gassi and mentioned a lost tribe of Israel, and it mentioned an African nation. And now when you're going through the quiz and you're trying at a speed to kind of knock off the ones that you know and then not waste time on them and move on to others, sometimes you make guesses and hope they stick. In this case, I saw Lost Tribe of Israel, I saw African nation, and I put Ethiopia. But the clue was in there, Giossi Gassi, Giossi referring to Jews, Gassi referring to Madagascar, Malagasy. That was there. Now, when I'm looking at what I could or should have got, the key factor is time. unless you can reel off a lot of answers on your first pass or maybe even your second pass, you're up against time pressure and you don't have long to think about these questions. And all those 16 ones that I could have got right, just didn't have the time to be able to work on them, work through, think about them, theorize, weigh up options. At times you just have to make a call, you just have to make a guess. And that's what happened there. That's why when I say I could have got 69 points, it really isn't a should. It's a recognition that I was never going to get all of those ones that I could have got. Not with the way my mind was that day, not with my preparation that day. Maybe another time I could do better, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Second half poses different challenges. It's out of my comfort zone. If I could break 100 overall, I'd be happy. I don't think it's likely. So it's over, and I did surprisingly well. I got 50 points in the second half. A very good lifestyle genre. Struggled immensely in sport and games. Definitely some work to be done there, not just in strengthening my knowledge, but also getting some answers out that I should have got out. The biggest problem I found was that there didn't seem to be many gimmies in sport and games, or many where you could work your way to the answer if you didn't know it. It was very difficult if things just missed you, whereas some of the things like science, I was able to work things out, and that was really, really satisfying. So 103 points as it stands, really good experience this year, but I'm going to have a look and see what I could have done better. But that was my immediate reaction. A good score in lifestyle, very, very happy with that. For me, sciences was good, world was solid, sports and games was poor, my worst genre of the day. And I really struggled with that genre. The first time I went through the first sheet of paper, I maybe got 2 answers, 3 answers, at least one of those was wrong. So it took me a lot of work to get to where I did get, which was 8 points. But looking back at it in the cold light of day, there were at least another 7 answers that I could on another day have got. Likewise, in World, another 7 answers that I could have got. So even more so than the first half, there were points left out on the table here that, with better technique, better preparation, I might have been able to get. 18 points, in fact. 18 points that were there, that I'd heard of, that I should perhaps have known, should perhaps have been able to get. Frustrating, but also an exciting challenge, exciting possibilities. Again, there were some good answers and some poor misses. Here's another one where I missed the clue in the question. It was a question about a plane. It gave a lot more detail about it, but the critical bit here was towards the end. What aerospace company based in Kyiv since the 1950s designed and built the AN-255 Mriya? Now, I didn't think too deeply about this, but I certainly didn't see the AN because I've heard of Antonov. I absolutely know Antonov, but my first thought whilst reading this question was, I've never really heard of this plane, so let me put down a Russian aerospace manufacturer, and I put Sukhoi. Stupid, the point was there for me to get. Don't ignore the clues, read the question. Read the flipping question. Again, go back to my 7 deadly sins of written quizzes. Read the flipping question. Look for the clues. I missed a clue. I missed a point that was eminently gettable. There were other misses where it was just frustrating. This one, what name does Spotify give it to its annual recap? Yada, yada, yada. I don't use Spotify, but I've certainly seen loads of people posting their Spotify Wrapped on Twitter and Facebook. I sat there with a dilemma. Was it wrapped? Was it unwrapped? Well, I'm thinking, well, of course it's revealing something. It's unwrapped. So that's what I put. 2 letters, UN, made a difference between a point and 0 points on this question. Really frustrated because I knew what I was going for and I knew what the dilemma was, and I just zigged rather than zagged. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. There were questions that gave me joy from being able to spot things and work them out, and here there was a flash of inspiration, sharing its name and thought to be the first to be based on a video game in which 1981 board game players block or squash each other's playing characters using logs or cards and gain bonus points for eating flies. Now, I had never heard of this board game, and I'm not great on video games, although to be fair, the 80s is more of my era. But eating flies, what eats flies? As soon as I thought that was my way in, I was right. I thought frogs eat flies, Frogger's a game, cars are involved in Frogger as well. I put Frogger down and I got the point. Really, really satisfying when that sort of thing happens, and a little bit more of that sort of thought process, that clarity of thinking, and I could have done much better on sport. So this was the overall picture. I got 103 points. My theoretical maximum was 137. Now, that's all of those questions which I heard of and I could on another day have got right. 137 points. That's 34 more points I could have got. That's the difference between finishing 189th, which I did, and finishing 25th. And that's quite an incentive to do something about it, because you always think of yourself as a certain kind of level within quiz. You think of yourself, yeah, me, I'm happy if I'm within the top 250 of the world. But when I look at it and I think, actually, if I got everything right that I should have gotten, ignoring all the ones that I was never going to get, I could have finished 25th. That's a sobering thought. So what do I need to do, or what does anyone need to do to finish as high as possible? Well, for me, I think a lot of it comes down to the preparation. It comes down to making sure that there are plenty of facts and World Quizzing Championship likely answers relatively fresh in your mind, so that they come more easily than if you haven't done any prep and you have to go searching for them. So I can see why people use Anki and flashcard apps, but it doesn't need to be like that. It could also be a spreadsheet, it could be a written journal of answers, but you need something that brings these answers more fresh to your mind, which means you could put more answers down in your first sweep through, which means you have more time to devote to those that need a little bit more thinking about, that you know you can probably fish out, and you just need that time to be able to fish it out. So the technique for me was not wrong. What was wrong was the lack of preparation, the lack of things being sufficiently fresh in my mind for me to be able to fish them out and then allow me to concentrate on the ones where I needed to do a bit more work. So that's the key for me. Now, when I was speaking to Victoria Gross, and you'll be able to see this video soon, if not already, she told me that she was finished the second half within half an hour. That's somebody who is not wasting time on a question she knows she has no clue on, who is managing to put away those answers that she absolutely should know, and is not having to take too long to then mop up the rest, the ones in between. That's why she is the world champion. If you want to hear more from Victoria Gross, then look for our videos about Victoria, and there'll be a link at the end of this video. So what am I going to do as a result of this? Well, one of the things we're going to do through the All Things Quiz Patreon is try and get together a group of people who want to learn, who want to improve together. And that will be a group effort, and we will all try and make sure that this time next year we're in a much better place to be performing at the WQC. If you want to play part of that, then go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz. From £3 a month, you can become part of that study group. So I think it was a good WQC this year. I think my performance could have been better, but actually I was pleased with it. I'm very pleased with the entertainment genre score, and it's kind of fired me up. You know, after 18 attempts, this is the first time for a while I thought, actually, I really would like to give it a go now, preparing properly. What were your best answers, your worst misses? What was your reaction to the World Quizzing Championship this year? Tell us in the comments below. Absolutely love to hear how you found it and whether anything that I said today has resonated. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, there are more videos here that you might enjoy, including our interviews with Victoria Gross.